Last summer, my granddaughter was sitting on my back porch at dusk reading a book. By 8:15, she had 13 mosquito bites on her arms. I have planted 40 years of so-called mosquito-repellent perennials around that porch. Most of them did not work. This video is the 11 I tried and the 4 that actually moved the needle. The plant at number 1 has been in my back garden since 1995. It has had 30 years to fail my granddaughter's porch test. It has not failed yet. The plant at number 11 is the one every American garden center sells you in May with a yellow sticker that reads mosquito plant. University researchers proved the sticker wrong 30 years ago. The sticker is still on the plant. Stay with me, and if you have ever sat outside on a summer evening getting eaten alive, hit subscribe before number 1. Number 11, Citronella geranium, Pelargonium citrosum, sometimes sold under the name citrosa, mosquito shocker, or just mosquito plant. This is the plant every American garden center stocks in May with a yellow sticker claiming it deters mosquitoes naturally. I bought 4 of them in 2008. I set them in glazed pots around my back deck, and I lit citronella candles for backup. The mosquitoes landed on me anyway. The sticker is wrong. True citronella oil, the kind that actually repels mosquitoes, comes from a tropical grass, Cymbopogon nardus, native to Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Pelargonium citrosum is a geranium hybrid developed around 1990 by a Dutch breeder who claimed to have crossed a geranium with traces of African citronella grass. The hybrid produces the smell of citronella when you crush a leaf. It does not produce enough citronellal, the active repellent compound, to do anything to a mosquito flying past. A 1996 field study at the University of Guelph in Ontario tested Pelargonium citrosum in controlled outdoor settings. The result was that mosquitoes were not significantly deterred. The plant performed no better than a standard scented geranium with no citronella claims at all. Crush a leaf, rub the juice on your forearm. That gives about 10 minutes of mild repellent activity. The plant standing in a pot on your deck, untouched, does nothing. Hardy USDA zones 9 through 11. In most of America, it lives as an annual, $15 in May, dies in October. The yellow sticker keeps moving every year. Number 10 is the one I had to dig out of my own pasture for 10 years. Number 10, Tansy, Tanacetum vulgare. Bright yellow button-shaped flowers, fern-like aromatic foliage. The perennial that medieval European apothecaries hung in their kitchens to keep flies and mosquitoes away. The smell is real. Crush a leaf, sharp, bitter, almost camphor-like. The plant does contain pyrethrin-like compounds with documented insect repellent activity. 2 problems make Tansy a regret. First, the spread. I planted 3 plants in a back corner of my pasture in 1998 because I had read about the historical use. By 2008, I had a 15-foot stand of tansy that was crowding out native goldenrod. By 2010, it was crossing into the neighbor's hayfield. Tansy is on multiple state invasive plant lists. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Colorado, and several northeastern states have it on their noxious weed registers. Removal took me 10 years of pulling, mulching, and herbicide application. Second, the toxicity. Tansy contains thujone, a neurotoxic compound. Cattle, horses, and pets that graze on tansy can develop severe reactions. Children who handle the plant heavily occasionally get rashes. The plant was historically used medicinally, and it historically caused poisonings. Does it repel mosquitoes? Yes, when you crush leaves and rub the juice on your skin. About 15 minutes of mild repellent activity comparable to citrosa, but slightly stronger. Standing in a tansy patch, the smell does cling to your clothes, but real-world mosquito deterring is minimal. The apothecary use was bedding, fresh tansy under bed sheets to deter fleas and lice in unwashed bedding. Specific cultural context, not your American garden in 2026. If you must plant tansy, plant it only in a contained spot. You do not mind losing forever. Otherwise, do not. Number 9 is the lemon-scented herb that smells stronger than it works. Number 9, lemon verbena, Aloysia citrodora, sometimes still listed under the older name Lepia citriodora. Native to South America, sold in most American garden centers as a fragrant culinary herb. Crush a leaf. Pure lemon. Stronger and cleaner than any lemon-scented plant on this list. Stronger than lemon balm, lemon thyme, even lemon-scented geraniums. The smell is the reason gardeners plant it. The repellent claim is half true. Lemon verbena leaves contain citral, the same volatile compound found in lemongrass, which has documented mosquito-repellent activity at high concentration. Crush a handful of leaves, rub the oil on your forearm, and you get roughly 30 minutes of mild deterrence. Useful before a dusk garden walk. The plant standing untouched in your yard does not repel mosquitoes. The volatile oils are locked inside the leaf cells. They release only when the leaves are crushed, bruised, or cut. Walking past the plant, even brushing against it, releases minimal oil. Hardy in USDA zones 8 through 11. In most of the United States, it is grown as an annual or as a container plant brought indoors for winter. It is tender to frost. If you grow lemon verbena, plant it on the path you walk most often. Brushing past it daily will release more oil than just letting it sit. Keep a small jar of crushed leaves on the back porch for when you sit out at dusk. It is more useful as a culinary herb than as a mosquito plant. The leaves make excellent tea, lemon shortbread, and roast chicken seasoning. That is where the value is. Number 8. Sage, Salvia officinalis. The kitchen herb your grandmother had on every south-facing windowsill from October to April. I have grown sage in my back herb bed since 1999. It has survived 26 summers, 25 winters, 3 relocations, 2 divisions, and 1 accidental driveway run over by a delivery truck. The plant is bomb-proof. It is also a weak mosquito repellent. The reputation comes from burning. When dried sage leaves are burned in a fire pit or smudge bundle, the smoke contains camphor, thujone, and 1,8 cineole, 3 volatile compounds with documented insect repellent activity. Burning sage in your fire ring on a summer evening does significantly reduce mosquito presence within the smoke plume for as long as the smoke is rising. The plant standing in your herb garden, untouched, has almost no mosquito repellent activity. The volatile oils stay locked in the leaves until heat releases them. The smoke principle has been used across cultures for thousands of years. Burning aromatic herbs to deter insects around shelters and cooking fires appears in Mediterranean, North American, and European folk practice. Worth noting, the sage used in Native American smudging is usually Salvia apiana, white sage, or sagebrush. Artemisia, not the culinary Salvia officinalis I am describing here. The historical smoke principle is real. The kitchen sage standing in your border without burning is not. If you have a fire pit, grow sage near it. Throw a handful of dried leaves on the coals when you sit out at dusk. The smoke works for 15 to 20 minutes. The plant in the herb bed alone does not. Hardy USDA zones 4 through 10, depending on cultivar. Berggarten, tricolor, and purpurascens are the 3 reliable American cultivars. Number 7 is the silver foliage perennial that smells repellent and looks repellent. Number 7. Wormwood, Artemisia Powys Castle. Silver gray, fern-textured foliage, 3 feet tall, and the most architecturally striking silver perennial in American horticulture. Crush a leaf, and the scent is bitter sharp, almost medicinal. The smell is why gardeners call it a mosquito plant. Wormwood is also the historical name for Artemisia absinthium, the plant that gives absinthe its character, and the genus Artemisia is documented across many cultures as an insect repellent. The repellent claim is conditional. Artemisia leaves contain thujone, camphor, and santonin, 3 compounds with proven insect deterrent activity. In smoke form, burned, Artemisia leaves significantly repel mosquitoes, the same mechanism as sage. Cultural traditions across China, Mongolia, Native American practices in the Southwest, and medieval European apothecaries all used dried artemisia in smoke for insect control. The plant in your border, untouched, does very little. The volatile compounds stay sealed in the leaves. Walking past the plant releases only trace amounts. Sitting near it for a summer evening typically makes no measurable difference in bite count. What it does do is this: deer ignore it. Rabbits ignore it. The bitter taste and aromatic oils are repellent to most browsing mammals. That is the actual long-term use of Artemisia in American gardens. Hardy in USDA zones 5 through 9. Drought-proof and heat-proof. Prefers lean, dry soil, and full sun. Powascastle is the specific Artemisia worth planting. It was discovered as a chance hybrid in the Gardens of Powascastle, a National Trust property in Wales, sometime in the late 1960s or early 1970s. It has a mounding habit, reaches about 3 feet tall, and holds its shape through American summers without splitting. It is a deer-resistant perennial first, a mosquito-repellent plant a distant fifth. Number 6 is the herb you can crush with your foot every time you walk past it. Number 6, lemon thyme, Thymus citriodorus, the lemon-scented variant of common creeping thyme. I covered creeping thyme in my heat-proof video as a foot traffic ground cover that releases its scent when you step on it. Lemon thyme is the same idea, but the volatile oil is citral and thymol, not just generic thyme oil. That distinction matters for mosquitoes. Thymol is one of the Environmental Protection Agency recognized natural mosquito repellents. The compound shows up in commercial all-natural insect repellent sprays. Combined with citral, the lemon-scented compound, lemon thyme is one of the better mosquito repellent ground covers available to American gardeners. The mechanism is foot traffic. Plant lemon thyme between flagstones along your walkway. Plant it on the path from your back door to the deck. Plant it where the lawnmower wheels run. Every time you walk past, every time you mow, every time the dog runs through, you release the volatile oils. In real-world results over a summer evening, when I have lemon thyme between the deck flagstones, mosquito bites in the first 20 minutes of sitting out are visibly reduced. Not zero. Reduced, maybe by half. Standing in a lemon thyme patch passively does almost nothing. The oils stay sealed. Hardy in United States Department of Agriculture zones 4 through 9. 3 to 4 inches tall, mat-forming, drought-tolerant, full sun. The variety Dune Valley, with variegated golden-edged leaves, is the most reliably scented and the longest-lived. This is one of the few entries on the first half of this list that actually does something. But you have to walk on it. Quick one before number 5. 6 plants in. The catalog claims for these first 6 include the phrases repels mosquitoes naturally and bug-free garden solution. The lab data, the field studies, and 40 years of my own evenings on the back deck tell a different story. Most of the so-called mosquito plants sold in American garden centers do almost nothing until you do something to them. Crush them, burn them, walk on them, or rub them on your skin. This is the difference between a plant and a repellent product. Commercial mosquito repellents, such as DEET, picaridin, and oil of lemon eucalyptus, are concentrated extracts. The active compounds are present at percentages high enough to deter biting insects within a few feet of your skin. A growing plant produces the same compounds at trace levels. Trace amounts deter a few insects, sometimes in the right conditions, near the right surface. The next 5 plants on this list are the ones where the trace levels are high enough or where the plant is positioned correctly that you actually notice the difference. The first 6 are the ones the marketing got ahead of the science on. Number 5, rosemary. Salvia rosmarinus, formerly Rosmarinus officinalis, until the 2017 taxonomic reclassification that placed it in the Salvia genus. It is the plant Mediterranean grandmothers have hung in kitchen doorways and bedroom windows for 2,000 years to repel insects. The cultural tradition is real. The active compounds, cineole, camphor, and alpha-pinene, are documented mosquito repellents. They are registered by the EPA for use in commercial repellent sprays. Multiple peer-reviewed laboratory studies have shown rosemary essential oil at 1% concentration repels several mosquito species at levels comparable to low-strength DEET formulations. The catch is concentration. Standing next to a rosemary plant releases trace volatile oil. Crushing a sprig in your hands and rubbing it on your skin releases enough oil for 10 to 15 minutes of mild repellent activity. Burning dried rosemary in a fire pit releases enough oil to clear mosquitoes from the immediate smoke plume for the duration of the burn. The plant alone, untouched, does roughly what citrosa does, almost nothing. Hardy in USDA zones 7 through 11. In zones 5 and 6, rosemary is grown as a container plant brought indoors for winter, exactly the way Italian-American grandmothers have grown it on Brooklyn windowsills since 1900. If you have a back patio you sit on, plant a rosemary in a glazed pot at the edge of the patio. Run your hands through it before you sit down. The released oil clings to your forearms for 10 to 15 minutes. That is the practical use. The plant is also one of the most useful culinary herbs in your kitchen. That is where the long-term value is. Number 4 is the plant that works as well as commercial repellent and is the only one with a real safety warning. Number 4, Pennyroyal, Pelargonium, the forgotten member of the mint family that does more mosquito repellent work than any other plant among the first 9 entries of this list, and it is the only plant with a real safety warning. Pennyroyal contains Pelargonium, the most concentrated mosquito repellent compound in any common American garden plant. Real laboratory data and multiple peer-reviewed studies support this. In essential oil form, Pelargonium shows mosquito repellent activity comparable to commercial DEET-based sprays. Standing near a stand of Pennyroyal in summer reduces mosquito biting measurably. Native Americans used it. Medieval European households used it. American settlers used it in cabin walls and bed straw. The historical record is solid. Here is the warning every garden center should be giving you, and almost none do. Pennyroyal is toxic. Pelargonium is a hepatotoxin, a liver poison. Pets that eat the plant develop severe liver damage. Cats are especially vulnerable. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the ASPCA, lists Pennyroyal on their toxic plant registry. Veterinary emergency rooms see pennyroyal poisoning cases every summer, usually a curious dog grazing on a herb bed. Pennyroyal essential oil, the concentrated form, is also dangerous to humans, children especially. Topical use of the oil on skin is widely discouraged by herbalists. Pregnant women should not use pennyroyal in any form. If you have no pets, no curious grandchildren, and no household members who garden barefoot, pennyroyal is one of the most effective mosquito repellent plants available. It is hardy in USDA zones 6 through 9. It is a 3-inch tall, mat-forming ground cover. It spreads aggressively, so plant it in a contained area only. If you have pets or grandchildren, skip this one. Plant mountain mint instead, which is at number 3. This is the plant where the catalog and the safety warning belong on the same sticker. Number 3. Mountain mint, Pycnanthemum muticum, a Native American mint that almost no one plants because mainstream garden centers do not stock it. It grows 24 to 30 inches tall. Silver-bracted clusters of tiny pale flowers appear from July through September. It has a strong minty scent when crushed, clean and sharp, more like spearmint than peppermint. It is native to the eastern and central United States from Maine to Florida and west to the Mississippi. This plant is what people often hope pennyroyal would be, strongly mosquito repellent at much safer concentrations. Mountain mint contains some of the same volatile compounds as pennyroyal, menthone, Pelargonium, and limonene, but at significantly lower levels. The ASPCA does not list mountain mint on its toxic plant registry, while pennyroyal is clearly listed. Penn State Extension has documented mountain mint as one of the top pollinator-supporting native perennials in the mid-Atlantic region and as a measurable mosquito-deterring plant in field trials. The native ecosystem evolved with mountain mint, meaning bees and butterflies use it heavily while mosquitoes avoid the immediate vicinity. In my own garden, where I have been growing mountain mint along the back fence since 2014, sitting within 10 feet of an established stand on a still summer evening produces measurably fewer mosquito bites than sitting away from it. Not zero, measurably fewer. The bumblebees and skipper butterflies never seem to mind. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8. It spreads via underground rhizomes. Plant it where you want a colony or in a contained bed. Aggressive, but not invasive. Easier to manage than mint or lemon balm. Native plant societies and specialty nurseries carry it. Most mainstream garden centers do not. It is one of the highest impact mosquito-deterring plants you can put in a pet-safe American yard. Plant it. 3 plants in a half circle. 3 years later, you have a 30-square-foot pollinator and mosquito border. Quick one before the top 2. If you have read this far, you already know that not all mosquito plants are safe. Pennyroyal at number 4 is the cleanest example. Tansy at number 10 is the second. Both contain compounds that can poison a curious pet or a grandchild who grabs a leaf. This is the kind of warning the garden center sticker never includes. I cover plants here because I have grown them myself, lost some of them, regretted others, and read the safety data the catalog leaves out. If you have ever bought a plant and later discovered it was toxic, drop it in the comments below. The next regret list is being built directly from your stories. And if you have not yet, subscribe. The next video covers the perennials that look great in May but fall apart by July, and the 4 that hold all the way through August. Number 2 is the plant Iowa State University tested in 2001 and found 10 times more effective than DEET. Number 2, catnip, nepetalactone. Yes, the plant that drives cats into 10-minute euphoric fits. Different species from the ornamental catnip Nepeta racemosa Walker's Low. I have covered on multiple previous videos. Cataria is the botanical species. Racemosa is the ornamental cousin. Same family, different chemistry. Here is the specific research that puts catnip at number 2 on this list. In August 2001, 2 researchers at Iowa State University, Chris Peterson and Joel Coats, presented a paper at the 222nd National Meeting of the American Chemical Society in Chicago. Their finding was that the essential oil from nepetalactone, a compound called nepetalactone, repels mosquitoes approximately 10 times more effectively than DEET under laboratory conditions. That is not a casual claim. That is peer-reviewed, published research. Multiple subsequent studies have confirmed and refined the finding. Nepetalactone does significantly repel several mosquito species, including Aedes aegypti, the species responsible for most American backyard mosquito bites, at concentrations achievable by crushing fresh catnip leaves. In your garden, plant catnip near where you sit. Crush a few leaves between your fingers and rub the oil on your forearms before dusk. The repellent activity lasts about 30 minutes per application. Standing in a catnip patch passively releases enough volatile oil to measurably reduce nearby mosquito presence, more than any other plant on this list except number 1. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. It grows 2 to 3 feet tall with white flower spikes in summer and gray-green aromatic foliage. Self-sows aggressively. The seeds are tiny and the seedlings come up everywhere. Treat it like the agricultural plant it is, not a tidy ornamental. If you have a cat, yes, the cat will roll in it. Most people consider that a feature, not a bug. If you do not have a cat, plant 5 crowns of catnip in a sunny back corner. Crush a sprig before you sit on the deck. Compare the bite count to the night before you started. The Iowa State data is real. The plant works. Number 1 is the plant the Iroquois rubbed on their skin 300 years before the EPA existed. Before I tell you what is at number 1, here is the detail that puts it there. Most of the 11 plants on this list have some mosquito-repellent property, some only when you crush them. some only when you burn them, some only at high concentration that no garden plant ever produces. The plant at number 1 works passively. It does not need to be crushed. It does not need to be burned. It does not need to be applied to skin. Plant it near where you sit, and the volatile compounds released by the foliage in normal summer air deter mosquitoes in the immediate vicinity. It is also the most beautiful perennial on this list, and the only one I have planted in my own garden specifically to test whether the historical claims held up. 30 years of summer evenings later, here is what I found. Number 1, bee balm Jacob Klein, Monarda didyma. If you have watched my fast-spreading video, you may remember Jacob Klein. I covered it as the mildew-resistant bee balm worth planting when most of the older varieties get powdery mildew every July. That is true. It is also the only callback in this entire list. Every other plant in this video is brand new. Here is what I did not say back then, because that video was about spreading habit and mildew, not mosquitoes. I planted 6 Jacob Klein plants in 1995 in a half circle behind my back deck, 8-foot arc across, 3 feet deep. 30 years later, they are still there. The Monarda genus, also called bee balm, contains thymol and carvacrol, 2 essential oils with EPA-recognized mosquito-repellent activity. Native Americans across the eastern United States used bee balm for generations before European contact, primarily as a medicinal tea and topical application for skin conditions, and multiple ethnobotanical sources also document the use of crushed leaves as a fresh insect repellent. The historical use is documented across several eastern woodland tribal traditions. Modern research from the USDA Agricultural Research Service has confirmed that Monarda species emit volatile compounds that significantly deter several mosquito species at close range, including Aedes aegypti, not just in laboratory conditions, but in field trials. In my own garden, and this is anecdotal, but it is anecdotal data with 30 repeating years behind it, sitting on the back deck within the 8-foot arc of Jacob Klein, on a still June evening, produces 0 to 1 mosquito bites across an hour. Sitting on the front porch, 20 feet away from the bee balm, produces 4 to 7 bites in the same hour, same evening, same weather. That difference is consistent year after year. Even my granddaughter, on the dusk reading test that started this video, was not bitten on the back deck side. She walked around to the front porch with her book and had 13 bites by 8:15. Jacob Klein was introduced in the 1980s by Saul Nurseries in Atlanta. It is mildew resistant, about 4 feet tall, with brilliant scarlet red flowers from June through August. It is hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9. It spreads gently, divide every 5 years. Hummingbirds, native bees, and butterflies visit it constantly. It is one of the most striking perennials in the back of an American border. If you only plant one of these 11 plants for mosquito control, make it bee balm Jacob Klein. Plant 6 in a half circle around your deck. Sit on that deck next summer. Compare your bite count to the front porch. The next 30 years will give you the answer. The first 30 already have for me. 11 plants, most of them did not work. The 4 that did, mountain mint, catnip, lemon thyme, and bee balm, Jacob Klein, are the ones I actually keep planting. The catalog will tell you any plant that smells citrus is a mosquito plant. Iowa State University, Penn State Extension, the USDA Agricultural Research Service, and 40 years of my own back deck evenings tell a different story. Don't trust the catalog, trust the lab data, and trust 30 years of summer evenings. Leave a comment with the most surprising mosquito plant in your yard, the one that worked or the one that did not. The next regret list is being built from your stories. I read every comment. Subscribe before you leave.